Well, hello everyone. We have a couple of minutes before we officially begin. Just want to make sure that you can hear me. There is a chat. For me, it's in the right corner. I'm not sure where you guys can see the chat. I'm going to just put something here. Can you let me know if you can hear me well? Can you hear me and see me? I can hear well. Great. Well, I'm glad to see all of you. This is the first time I'm using this application, so technical issues are always the biggest for everyone. But we'll just wait for another few minutes and then we can start. Nice to see all of you, Jillian, Kristen. You guys are muted, but if you would like to later, if you have time, I don't know, we'll see. But if you want to ask a question, you can either write it in the chat or you could, I guess I have an option to unmute you. But you could just write it in the chat. Just we'll wait for another few minutes. So I see, like, I remember Shane is from Kelowna, from BC. Where are you guys from? Working now? Okay. Oh, you're at work? You mean you're at work? You're working now? Me too. This is my job. Well, I'm in Kelowna on unpaid leave. Yeah. That topic is not included in the webinar, but maybe we can, if we have time, we can chat about that. You are on CHA chat, right, Shane? You can. There's a great support there. Nurses sharing everything, and you can get that support also on leave. Oh. Well, girls and boys, ladies and gentlemen, I should say, we can, like the information I put it in this webinar, it's not on what to do, but it will give you a great foundation to understand what you would like to do if you don't know that yet. Because we don't want the business, any business, healthcare business or any other business to be used as a resource, like last resource. Well, I don't know what else to do, so I should do the healthcare business. It may or may not fly. You really would like to, but maybe that's the direction we all should go, right? But we need to come there from a right place. One time I was looking for a nanny for my children and this girl calls, and that was a long time ago when my kids were small, like they a year and a half apart. So I have two. So I was completely wiped out. Like I didn't care. I will take anybody with arms to help me. But then when I interviewed this nanny, I asked her, why would you like to be a nanny? And she said, well, I was looking for a job and I couldn't find a job anywhere else. So I was like, okay, thank you, bye. The same with with your own business, right? You shouldn't go there from a place of desperation because you don't know what else to do. But there are so many options in the business itself that maybe you can just start small and then you grow to something bigger. Okay, it's 1:03. We have a few more people. I guess we can just begin, right? We have 2 hours, and I know it's annoying to sit for 2 hours. So, but I tried to throw some practices there and tests for us to get some interaction. But in the beginning, like the first part, I'll try to cover all this like stuff, like logistics to say. Okay, well, hello everyone. My name is Victoria. Some of you, probably most of you know me because I posted the link to the webinar in a few chats where I am and people know me. But if you don't, I'll introduce myself later. I have a little slide about myself. And I called this webinar Start Your Own Healthcare Business Consciously, and specifically for the reason why what I just explained. The webinar is being recorded, but your private information is not shared anywhere. Okay, I'm recording it, and I believe when it's recorded, I don't even see the chat. We'll see. So it's only the presentation. Well, friendly reminders like housekeeping rules. I know everything is online, but there are housekeeping rules for online webinars too. We will do some tests, so it will be great if you drive, don't worry about that. But if you have something to write on, just get it. And not only for the test, like I will be given some kind of, not instructions, but some information you would like to write it down if you would like to write it down. But basically you can find it all online, but it's easier when it's all, pulled together, right? And keep your heart open. Okay, that's a little bit esoteric. I combine this webinar with the logistics and not esoteric knowledge, but the knowledge of your soul. Because you probably, all of you have noticed that in the last 2 years, that's what it's been coming on the surface. We used to be able to kind of like shovel our soul a little bit, somewhere. But the last 2 years made things different. And right now, speaking about the soul, it's not as esoteric as it used to be. So this is our reality nowadays. So keep your heart open. And if you have an objection to something, that's a good indicator that that's where you need to go. If you work with your subconscious, you will probably, if you ever worked with your subconscious, you will probably heard that before, that anything you'd like to resist, that's the place of pain, and that's exactly where you need to dive in. So if I drive you crazy really much, maybe because I say some things that resonate with you. And questions, as I said, you can write questions in the chat, or you could just wait until the end. I even have an option to unmute you if you would like to take a word, or you can just write your question in the chat and I will address it later. Okay. So what we will get today is I do cover some logistics. We'll see what options of healthcare business are out there. If you haven't ever heard anything, or if you don't have your own business yet, you don't even know where to begin, and you have no idea like what I should or shouldn't be doing. So we will cover some of it, and we'll try to define or help you to define what exactly your calling is, like what exactly you would like to do. And we'll do some tests, like some tiny diagnostics, general diagnostics for different scenario, and it will give you an idea where you need to dig in order for you to unblock that that roadblock. And every each of you will get a free diagnostic. So we could do it either online or you can call to action. Let me see. I did not. Well, I will put my email address. There is my email address at the very end and my phone number. Please feel free to connect with me, and we'll book a free diagnostic if you don't do it here, like if you don't feel comfortable doing it publicly. But we can, if we have time, we may as well do it here. So what this free diagnostic will do, I'm a nurse, I'm a registered nurse, and it's covered on the next slide. But right now I work in the quantum medicine. I'm studying quantum medicine and quantum psychology. I have been studying all of this other side of the medicine for some time right now, for quite a few years, like it will be 7 years. I studied psychosomatics. I studied New German medicine. I clearly understood that there is a connection between us, how we feel in our emotional self, and the physical is just the demonstration of our emotional state. And I wanted to know how to unhook those emotional connections so we can heal on a physical level. But the quantum medicine goes a little bit deeper, and we'll talk about that later. So the quantum diagnostics, not necessarily about your health, but you can just ask a question. For example, if you don't know what you should choose and you have two situations, but you're not sure what exactly what the result will be if you go there, or you struggle all the time, you have a repetitive situation and you don't know the cause of it. So that's what the diagnostic can show, what on the subconscious level what program, those limiting beliefs, I'm sure all of you have heard, what program runs on your subconscious that holds you there in the certain condition or in the certain situation of your life. So each of you can get a free diagnostic. It's usually 20 to 40 minutes, and we do it on through Zoom. So we connect, and there are different ways to do that. Either I do it on your own subconscious level, or I dive in and I kind of like read for you. It's very cool. Kind of like tarot reading, but without cards. I don't know. I compare it to tarot reading, but it's not cards, of course, right? It's I just connect. We go to a quantum field, which is united for every single person and every single thing on Earth. What you will not get, I cannot give you specific specifics and protocols on what business you should do. Of course, right? I wouldn't take such liability, and I wouldn't give you a legal advice because I'm just a nurse, right? Not just a nurse, but I'm a nurse. I don't have any legal background. So myself, my name is Victoria. I'm a nurse. I'm a mother of two. I have covered that a little bit in the beginning. I initially, back then, when I was still in Russia, in 1994, I finished their nursing school, and I got my nursing diploma. Then I went to the university and I got a diploma of veterinarian medicine. And then in 2004, and I worked in ICU when I was back in Russia. I worked in ICU, and I've seen a lot. And I've seen a lot of, in terms of conventional medicine. The hospitals were equipped with things that when I moved to Canada, I was like, what is it? Like, you take Tylenol for every single thing, and there is nothing. Like, to get an IV, you literally have to be dehydrated to the point when you can't even take things per os, right? Because in Russia, the medicine back then, I haven't lived in Russia since 2008, but back then the medicine was quite invasive in terms of, in a good sense, invasive. Anybody who got, so it was if you compare it to Canadian medicine, it will be like what naturopathic doctors do plus what medical doctors do together, but maybe 50 times more intense. So everyone who gets in the hospital will get an IV, and the very basic IV, like normal saline or 5% glucose, will be for anybody. But we had really complex IV solutions. So people with stroke, like I saw people recovering who had strokes and any other injuries and sepsis and you name it. That's the unit I worked in. We had hemasorption. That's where your blood is taken and through the like some kind of the blood is taken off you, being cleaned and put back in you through the filter. It's filtered. Then plasmapheresis, when the blood is taken and only plasma is being cleaned, and then plasma gets back to you, like clean plasma, like things which were unheard of for Canada. And that was in late 90s. So I can't speak for what's going on right now in Russia. But when I saw the level of Canadian medicine, I was a little bit shocked. I was like, how can you even recover on oral medications from conditions such as stroke? I've never, rarely do I see anybody getting IV, or you need to go and purchase it, pay cash for naturopathic treatment. So that was a big shock for me when I moved to Canada. Bariatric chambers, where we had the unit I worked in, we had 5 or 7 bariatric chambers. I don't know if you know those. So Canada to me was like so much behind. Later did I realize that it was probably the reason for that. But anyway, just a little spiel on the Russian medicine. The level of Russian medicine was really advanced comparing to Canada. So I moved to Canada in 2004, and then I had children and all of that. And then since 2011, I started working as a nurse here in Canada, and I worked in the community. And so, and then in 2019, I started a full-time business, my own business. Okay, I don't know what that was. Maybe it was me. So, right. So, apologies. I'm glad all of you are still here. And when I became a nurse, my dream was like, well, I want to just become a nurse and go to work 9 to 5, and then I want to go home, and I don't want to think about anything that happens at work. I just want to dedicate myself completely to the family. And then I realized I had 2 little children and a job, and I realized that now when I'm a nurse and I have a job 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, I don't even see my children. So I didn't understand, like, it was such a shock for me because I thought that's where my life will normalize when I have a job. And it was it was completely different. It was an opposite that I expected it to be. So when I got my first son, I was still like a programmed nurse, what they teach us in a nursing school, the vaccination schedule and all of that. I didn't claim myself to be a holistic nurse. I followed the narrative that was given to us. And so only as the birth of my first child did I realize that something is wrong, you guys, because not only didn't I see children working at work, but also my pregnancy was completely perfect. And then I had to have an induction because according to the protocol, I was overdue. And then it led to their emergency C-section. And I had emergency C-section was performed because I had placenta rupture, because I was induced, but I wasn't progressing in labor. I don't know if any of you know all of this all of those obstetrics and everything, if you remember. But basically, I understood that nobody ever kind of like I was, according to the protocol, I was overdue 10 days, overdue based on the calculation of the day when I was supposed to give birth, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, nothing was personalized. My doctor, I had 2 children with her. She didn't even call me by first name. So anyway, when my perfect pregnancy finished with the placenta rupture, which is like 40% mortality rate, luckily my son was fine, but he was born Apgar 7, like he was quite he had cyanosis. So I was like, okay, wait a second, that's just doesn't make sense. I ate broccoli and steak, I did yoga 5 times a week, and I had such a crazy birth and almost lost myself or him, who knows, right? So I started questioning, like, why can't we do it a little bit differently? And that's when I started questioning everything. But it took me some time. Only when my daughter was born a year later, like a year and a half later, I started questioning even more and more and more. And I got into this Louise Hay webinar when she had, not webinar, but she had this summit with 100 people talking. So I started hearing different things and about medicine as well. And I thought, like, oh my God, like we don't even, like, that's in addition to what I already knew about Canadian medicine, right? So it was like, that doesn't make any sense, whatever happened in the last sometime. So I started questioning. That's when I started questioning. And we all, as we know, in the last 2 years, when we start questioning, things start unfolding. Until we just don't know, right? We just follow because we're so busy. We need to make lunches for children. And only when everyone is in bed, we are happy that finally the day is over. So my son, the birth of my son kind of like triggered this questioning of the medical field and medicine in general. And I started studying and studying and studying more. And I discovered that there are 4 quadrants. Seems like the slide is missing, kind of like all of a sudden we got here, but that's fine. 4 quadrants of life. You probably have heard like the wheel of life. There are tests how to determine the wheel of life, but there are 9 categories, a little bit more complicated than this one. But basically, there are 4 categories in our lives. We kind of like go, we have on the surface of life. So it's health, finances, relationship, and our calling of fulfillment. You remember the pyramid of needs by Maslow, right? So the fulfillment goes on the very top. When the bottom layers are filled, then we could feel about, we could kind of like focus on the fulfillment, which is true. Like if you're hungry, you don't really care what you do for living, right? But the fulfillment was disregarded, and again, for a reason, right? Somebody put mainstream. Yes, for a reason, all of that was disregarded. Like it was all kind of like covered up with, so people don't start questioning like, what is my purpose in life? But actually, it's extremely important to know what's your purpose in life and to make sure that you listen to your soul and you fulfill it. And so these 4 quadrants, which you could see on the screen, health, financials, relationship, and fulfillment. If one of the areas is depleted, then the energy distributes between the other 3 areas. You could be healthy, and you can have, you can be great financially, and even in good relationship, but you wouldn't be happy anyway. So the point, if this one of those 4 areas is depleted, it's really hard for you to be happy or content. I shouldn't say happy because it's subjective, right? Content. So for example, if relationship, you could be in relationship, but they are not a relationship you would like you have challenges and they're not making you happy. Even if you you do what you're called to do and you're financially abundant or whatever, you may, and your house is fine, but the relationship are not where you would like to be. The energy doesn't flow correctly, and then you wouldn't feel content. So, which means the career, like the fulfillment, comes through career. It will be great if it does, and the reason for that, I'll show the next slide. Because if we work at work, let's say if it doesn't really matter your business or work, but if you're a working individual and so imagine you have a job where you work like 8 hours a day. So if you work 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you spend 33% of your day, the first 33%, each day out of 24, 33% will be dedicated to your job. So imagine if you don't like your job, or if you're not happy at work, 33% of your day is dedicated there, like for something you don't really like, which is 24% each week. So and that's what I'm trying to bring the point, that it's extremely important to know that you really enjoy with what you are doing, and you really feel in your soul at that time. Because more than quarter if it's 5 days a week and then 2 days the weekend and you don't work on the weekend, but approximately from 24 to 33% of your life is dedicated to something you don't like. That's crazy. That's not a good realization. And if you don't like, so this is the worst case scenario, right? So you hate your job, you don't like it, and you only enjoy, I don't know, for example, skiing or going on a hike, and you do it 3 hours a week, then whatever fits your soul, if you don't like anything else, it's only less than 2%. So it's just the numbers to put into perspective for you to really start thinking like, what do I like? You need to love what you do. You absolutely need to love what you do. And I will give you another example about myself. Maybe I'll give you now. So when I started, on one of the slides, it says that I started my business in 2019. But I actually got a business license and started doing like small part-time businesses while I was still employed. In 2019, I completely branched out and I don't work for anybody else but myself. But until 2019, since 2015 until 2019. For 4 years, I've been doing different business, or even 14 to 19. So for 5 years, I've been doing different businesses on site, and I still had a job, and I wasn't ready yet to completely branch out. I was scared. And why did I eventually branched out and completely dropped everything? That was before COVID, right? 2019 in May, I quit my job, my last job. And because my soul started pretty much dying. I hated the job. I worked in management, so every morning I would go, and in the management, not all you don't work all the time. Like, it's not a bedside nursing. When you have a patient and you're busy, you don't even have time to think if you like it or not. You're fulfilling your calling, maybe in a sense that you're helping people, but you are still doing things that you may not like, some of them, right? But when you're in management, sometimes you work at night, sometimes you work on the weekend, but you still need to go 9 to 5 to sit at the table in the management room. And I was just devastated, because I thought, like, this is so stupid. Like, sit here just because I have to, because it's 9 to 5. I would rather do, I don't know, laundry at home and clean the house. um, it really started eating me alive, that I did something which I didn't feel comfortable with doing, but I had to do it. Because, and then, if somebody passes, you need to make sure that you look really busy, and you look on the computer, like you look at the screen. So all of that was really disturbing me a lot. um, so I didn't like my job. I didn't even feel fulfilled at all. All right. So, and again, you need to like what you do. You probably have heard about this book, Bronnie Ware, an Australian palliative nurse. She interviewed palliative patients for 3 months. She was a palliative nurse, and she talked to each palliative person, maybe not each, but to palliative patients. And she was asking them what was their regret. So number one regret was that they didn't have the courage to live the life true to themselves, and not to do what other people expected from them. So that's, even before I've heard about this book, there is another book by Russian classical writer, and this gentleman was dying, and he was on a deathbed, and he said, "I wish my life was different, like only if I could change it." That freaked me out. So the biggest fear for me is to regret. So I would rather do and fail than don't do it, because the thought of that, I could have done it differently, freaks me out. Not right now, but like, I'm imagining if I'm dying and I'm thinking, "Oh, I should have done it differently." That doesn't sound right. All right. So here we go. How are we doing on time? We are doing okay. For you to decide. So if you want to do a healthcare business, there are different options, like in any business. So these three, even though I put them as nurses, like two of the ladies are nurses and the gentleman we don't see, those options are the options that you can decide to be if you do not have a job as an employee. So when you work for someone, you can be a contractor or you can be an employee. The employee is those people who the employer deducts the taxes and sends the taxes, and then and they give you the T4 form, right? But you could be a self-employed person, even for your for even if you're in the conventional field still. I would say that this is number one step anybody should be doing if they never ever had any business. Why don't we do a little kind of like survey? Can you guys put number one in the chat if you have your own business, more or less, or if you're self-employed, or if you have your own business, maybe in addition to your job? And number two, if you don't have, if you've never ever, if you don't even know what is it, your own business means. Could you? Two, okay. So far, The person who put doesn't know. Okay, 1, 2, 2. Mm-hmm. Right. 2. Okay. So some of you, like Shane, I know Shane because he has so many things he does. he has I think you have a job, right? And you are self-employed. Okay. Oh, you did, right. Well, but now you're a freelancer. So in other words, thank you guys. In other words, the self-employed people are called freelancers. You probably have heard this term before. So what's the benefits of like, as I said, jumping from a nerve, like from a person who have been employed has been employed all the time to, let's say, business owner could be a little bit challenging, but it's doable. You just need to understand when you are a self-employed individual, it's all about the level of responsibility. And not to say that people who have never been self-employed are not responsible, but you will have maybe like a little bit of a curve, right? Because then you need to collect every single, I don't know, receipt, and then you need to send the invoice to people you provide services for. You need to make sure that you have the contract with your service, with your clients or people you deliver a service to, or they give you a contract and you sign. You need to understand that you have certain responsibilities, but you also have more flexibility. You do have way more flexibility when you are self-employed. So right now in my business, for example, I have a business. So one of the services in my business is home care and home support. So I have elderly people living in their own places, and caregivers come and serve them, but not the home support when people come, just caregivers come for a few hours. All my clients have full-time caregivers, so they're quite complex, and caregivers are there full-time. It's a private business, so of course I have only a handful of them, but I'm able to sustain just because it's a private business. So I charge money for that. But I never wanted to have like a huge business with huge operation. I don't know. As I said, I work in management, and people, when you have more employees you have, as more difficult it is. So you really wouldn't be able to handle it yourself if you have a huge company. So, and then I was like, oh, I need to manage people more. And so I am kind of like holding on. And that's one of the things if you are doing your business and you're not successful as you think, make sure that you understand that this is you holding it. Right now, when I start, like as more I study subconscious, I understand that nothing happens to us without our permission for that. Every single thing happening to you, it's because you subconsciously have a secondary benefit, or you want to be there, or you cannot move because subconsciously you have blocks from moving forward. Anyway, I diverted a little bit. So when you are self-employed, you become an individual who kind of like has your mini business. So you probably will have a business license. Not every self-employed person has a business license. You can still, depends on the hours, depends on the income, but you can still just collect those receipts. And when you do your taxes, if you still do your taxes, I know sometimes now with all this change, I know some companies are even, do different things in terms of tax, but I don't know like how to overcome all of that. So I'm not teaching, but I'm sharing the more or less conventional idea of business, what I know. So you collect those receipts and you can just claim it as an additional income if you are still employed and you have a T4 and then you have your own income, right? You can just claim it as an additional income. But the benefits of being a self-employed, you create your own availability, you define the scope of what you do and the rate. For example, if you're a foot care nurse, most of foot care nurses, I assume most of them, they are self-employed. So they can have a few different contracts with different places they go to, and they can charge, I don't know, $40 or $60 or $70. And if somebody doesn't like it, so be it. You're not obliged. You can negotiate, of course, with people who want to buy your service. If you sell them for $100, but they want to buy that for $50, that's you as a business owner. That's your kind of like not cup of tea, but that will be your decision to negotiate or not. But you can define your price versus when you're an employee, you are being paid a certain rate. Okay. The only thing is that if you are providing services to different places, when you're on their premises, you still follow their policy and their procedures, the organization, not the procedures, but their policy, organizational policy. When you go to somebody's place, not somebody's place, when you go to, let's say, if you have a contract with, I don't know, for example, Rivera, right? And you own Rivera's premises, you have to follow Rivera's policies. Any questions about that? If you have any questions, just write them down. So what is the kind of like not a negative, but what will be the kind of their thing to remember? You must be in compliance with your scope of practice. So if you are a nurse, you make sure that if you're a licensed nurse, make sure that you have a clear understanding of the scope of practice you can do, and that's on the college website. There's these practice standards, right? So what will be with order, with no order, all of that. So make sure that when you're self-employed, because when you have an employer, you follow the employer policy, and then if the employer puts something like they are liable, if their policy or rights, kind of not over rights, but whatever they put in the policy, the employer is liable. But when you are self-employed, you need to make sure that you know that and you follow it yourself. Okay, so that's the self-employed person. Business owner, that's when people already work for you. Oh yeah, I wanted to mention about the self-employed and my own company. So I have a company and I have employees working for me. I like working with employees. Well, I like working with both. Depends for what for. My caregivers are my employees, because I'm not interested in caregivers telling me when they're available, when they're not. I have a schedule and caregivers have to work, right? However, and I have to provide the minimum. I have to provide a certain rate. I pay taxes for them. I deduct. I pay my own taxes for them, right? Like my part. But for if I, for example, have occasional or I have a nurse right now I've contracted because I don't have a vaccination status. I shouldn't share my personal information, health information, but I'm okay to share it here. So I contracted a nurse who has who can enter certain institutions right now, right? That I don't need to go through this process, even though I right now in BC, in Vancouver, as of I can't remember as of when, but the latest update that you cannot go to the hospital if you do not present your medical ID or whatever they call it. And I didn't know because I don't watch TV. So I went to the hospital and I wasn't like there's a lineup of people showing something. So I called the manager and I asked her to show me the policies and procedures and how it was based on. So I was granted the entry. Like I still go anywhere I need to if I need to, but it's a process. So that's why I contracted somebody who can just go to see a client. Like I don't need to. It's a headache. Like right now to go somewhere, it's a headache, even though it's all illegal, right? Like we still can. Like there is no way a person can be denied an access to the medical institution, which we pay taxes for, but it's a process. So for that, I contract people. It's easier for me. So I have a person, like I have a nurse who is a self-employed nurse, and I contract her. So I like working with employees better because they just follow my instructions, and I can rely on my needs more. But occasionally I can self-employed. You cannot really hire an employee if you need an occasional help. It's too much work. All right. So But that's the self-employed. When you're a business owner, you have people working for you. They can be employees, they can be contractors. Just remember what we talked about right now. All those people can work for you. But when you're a business owner, so you can deliver wider, right, service, and it is more. There are more financial involvement there. Like it costs more money to start a business versus when you're self-employed. Better to incorporate it, and we have a slide where we go through all of that, like logistics, like what to do. But when you're a business owner, you don't necessarily need to be everywhere. You probably have heard about that quadrant, another quadrant, like quadrants of Robert Kiyosaki, right? When you are an employee, when you are a business owner, when you're an investor. I should have put it there, but that's fine. You can just find Robert Kiyosaki. If any of you doesn't know yet, Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote this book. I think it's Rich Dad Poor Dad, there, the book. And it explains when you're a business owner, you don't need to be everywhere. Yes, you will have more responsibility, but you have way more chance to kind of like, it's a different level. So that's what that's what happened to me in 2019, and from 2014 until 2019 I was a self-employed nurse when I was still employed. But then in 2019 I completely stopped being working for someone, and I became a business owner. I only had one employee back then, another nurse. I had a client who needed every day, like daily visits, nursing visits. And I could, like, some of the visits I did myself, but the other visits I hired a person, a nurse, and she started making those visits. And it just instantly put me on a different level, even though I had only one employee. But you need to allow yourself to dream big and go big. So I could have thought, okay, well, I only have one employee and I can go here and there. But then I was like, well, what's the point to have a business and run everywhere by yourself? Then you still have no time, because you need to understand, when you're a self-employed person, you are selling your own time just for a different price, and you kind of like create your own schedule. It's still better than being an employee, in my opinion. But you still, if you don't show up at work, you are not getting any financial gratitude for that. So you still do not make as much money as you dream, because how much time can you work a day? Like, you still cannot work more than, okay, even if you're a hero and you work 12 hours, it's going to deplete other areas of your life. You remember those quadrants, right? Health, relationship, financials, and fulfillment. So if you really want abundance, you need to start thinking big. So when you're a business owner, it's a different level. You don't sell your time in exchange for money. If you start thinking and multiplying the model you have over here somewhere else, and then you start getting a little from each of that area, from each of that project, you get a little bit. And then, yes, you work a lot, but you are really flexible. Like, I right now work a lot in the evening, because during the day I always have to pick up children, drop them off, go there, here, and and I'm always on the phone. And then at 10 o'clock I can sit and do my emails, and it seems like I have been involved with business, but actually during the day I didn't do anything much, right? Like, I was just available by phone. You know what I mean? Let me know if it's clear what I'm talking about. Can you guys put yes or no in the chat if it's clear? Good. Okay, so business owner. So you guys go for business owners, okay? Don't do the self-employed. But if you don't know anything yet, start with a self-employed. It's easier. So when you're a business owner, you can improvise and you can be creative. Like, I'm really creative. I don't even know why I became a nurse. I love nursing and I love health, but I always come with ideas. Like right now, my head is again full of ideas. So, but that's really cool. If you are creative, that business owner option, that's really the place you need to go to. Because again, in the last 2 years, we have seen anything can happen in the world, okay? Which is, of course, it's annoying what's happening to us. It's annoying, it's heartbreaking. At the same time, it destroyed any boundaries, imaginable or non-imaginable boundaries. And I personally, even though I'm quite, courageous, like I came from Russia 17 years ago with a luggage and $1,000 in my pocket. I was a nanny for 4 years, and I didn't even have a permission to live by myself. I was a live-in nanny. I couldn't even work for anybody else but just the person I came to work for. So if I could do it, you guys can do it for sure. And but like right now, even though, as I said, I'm quite courageous, right now the things happen so rapid, and things are so everything is so surreal that you can dream big. And so what? That's my dream and that's my business. And if you have it, if you see it, I guarantee will be other people who can see it. If there is a product and you can sell it well, you always will find people who can buy it. Okay, that's a little bit like esoteric, but that's so true. So business owner, again, go for business owner. You see, like I got like all excited right now about business owner, because it gives you unlimited opportunities, unlimited. Like you could create whatever business you want. Singing for elderly, who cares? You can create any business you want. And as I said, if you have a vision and if you are driven, it will start. If it's really your purpose, the universe will start feeding it. Schedule your time. As I said, I worked 11 p.m., 11 to 1. That's my working hours when everyone sleeps. But you also have kind of like a negative. It's not negative. It's just more adult position. You have more responsibilities. For sure, you have more responsibilities. You have responsibilities for people you serve, and you have responsibilities for people who work for you. That's for sure. So if you are not there yet, don't jump in. Start with self-employed. And again, regulations. We all must follow those regulations, which could be bad or good. I think it's great to have some regulations and some kind of like framework, because you want to make sure that it's for liability, and also you want to make sure that it's a safe care, right? And you could be an independent. So I put an independent as a third option, free from regulations, which is kind of like a new category. You remember I mentioned somebody, like I said, now paying taxes or not paying taxes, it's not an option. I shouldn't say it's an option, but I know that there are organizations right now that are even going around that area. So I don't know how they do it, but because depends how deep you fell in a rabbit hole, and how much you know about everything else, not only the latest virus, but everything else. You may know that the taxation is a questionable thing, right? But again, I can't speak up too much about that, because I don't know much about that. Like my business, I pay taxes. Taxes are huge. So you need to make sure that when you have, whether you're self-employed or business owner, you need to make sure that you value yourself, like you price yourself high enough to pay the expenses. Because right now, my business, if I look at the gross income of every month, it fluctuates because I work with elderly, right? And like I just lost 3 elderly, which is 50% of my clients database, because I only have a handful of clients, and elderly die, right? Like, but even if they're not elderly, like clients come and go. So you need to kind of, and my business right now, it's in a deep, kind of like deep down, right? Because the clients left, and I need to kind of think how else can I either replace these clients or do another thing in like a different project. So it's always it's not a roller coaster, but it is somehow like a peony kind of like life, right? So but to me, maybe because I am my background, right, I came from Soviet Union, everything was so you always have to think what's happened next. So when I was in Canada for some time, I became a little bit bored. Maybe that's why I started doing business, because it's more exciting for me. But yes, you need to be more creative. So independent option would be kind of like a new area, free from regulation. So it's more, we can say that if, for example, you do not work as a nurse and you do not have a license, so you could create yourself, like create an independent business. You still can follow the regulations and all their like taxation and everything, but you do not have a profession to say, right? So you need to create yourself a profession. Like, for example, Ezra Nursing, you probably have heard of them, right? Ezra Wellness. They the nurses call themselves nurse, not the nurse, because they chose not to renew the license. I personally still have a license. I have not made the decision because it's in February. I haven't made the decision if I should continue or not. I don't know if the college, what's the college is gonna say, like if you need to present them some kind of proof of whatever. I don't know. I haven't thought about that because it's in February and we are still in November only. But if for me as a business owner, you see, that's the cool thing about the business owner. If you're a business owner in the area I'm in, my business is in, it's a home care. Home support is not even regulated. Anybody can open a home support agency. They don't even need to be a nurse. And I can recruit a nurse who will do a nursing care. And I can just call myself whatever I want to call myself. I still haven't made the decision. I still kind of like want to be a nurse, but I don't know. But that will be an option for you to be a free independent professional, which is kind of like a self-employed, or you can be a business owner, a free business owner, but it's a free, not licensed, because I understand that probably all of you are nurses here, right? And you can charge as much as you want, and you're not registered, so you can't, the downside of not being registered with the college, that you cannot use a title. Again, whether it's legal or not, we'll just skip that point. But unfortunately, yes, the college has a standard that if you are not registered with them, you cannot call yourself a nurse, right? Registered nurse, applied practical nurse. You cannot use a title nurse at all. Again, Ezra uses a nurse. You could get creative and call yourself whatever you want. But if you are still licensed and you have professional like a designation, you could be a self-employed or business owner. Any questions? No? Good. Okay. So in continuation to that, just 1 second. Basically, you need to understand that you can deliver the service to businesses, or you could deliver a service to clients. You see here it's B2C, business to client, or B2B, business to business. The previous slide talked about self-employed versus business owner, right, or independent. Either of them can deliver service to the business or to the client. The example of delivering business to the client, for example, home care. You have people receiving care and then their own homes, and you come as a nurse or as another professional, I don't know, physiotherapist, PT, OT, whatever, and you assess the client and you deliver the care to the client. Here are the examples: nursing care, nursing home support, or home support, food care, nursing assessments only. That could be to the clients or to the business, nursing assessment only. The example of you delivering your service to the business would be, for example, education. I know some of you have been in the education, like nursing education role. So you could connect with other healthcare companies and create a workshop similar to what I did right now, right? And sell it to the company. You could find the organization. You find the list of organization. For example, I don't know. I'm in North Vancouver. I don't know right now after COVID, but before COVID, we had in 2 cities, North and West Vancouver, we had about 80 home care agencies, home support agencies, 80 in 2 small cities, because we have a lot of elderly. It's like a kind of like we have more elderly here than in other places. So all those agencies, they have workers, right? And they need to provide workshops to workers, like, I don't know, fall prevention, dementia workshop. You could create a workshop and call yourself, whatever your area of expertise is, you can call yourself like a dementia specialist, for example, right? Like I'm just giving you examples on top of my head. And if you teach a family, that will be you delivering the service to the client. But if you're teaching it, if you connect it with organization and you're providing this workshop to the organization, you could call yourself as a, I mean, that will be considered as B2B, business to business. Another example of home care, like doula, it could be doula for babies or deaf doula, palliative, right? Palliative care, or IV and injections. Again, if if you don't know, open their practice standard from the college and go through their printed highlight. Oh, that's what I can do. That's what, oh, just write down what you can do. Can you do the injections? Yes, you could. Okay, connect with naturopathic clinics. Most of the naturopathic doctors, they do the injections themselves, but not all of them do the home visits. That's how you could start. Start small, right? Start small, but the first thing, understand what you like. Not only what you could do, but if you hate going to places, do some online thing. But maybe you're great with sales. Start selling, I don't know, vitamins, right? Like you could, and that is unlimited because right now everything is online. So actually, this last 2 years, I know that this all was created to destroy the small businesses. However, I feel like if I focus on, well, they want to destroy the businesses, then is it going to serve me? No. Will they destroy it? Probably, if they decided to, yes. But where you put your focus, that thing grows, right? So I'm not serving myself and I think of them destroying the businesses. So therefore, I'm just not even going there. Like I'm not even trying to like I don't even think about that. I don't care. Yes, probably, maybe, but it's not going to serve me for sure. And if it's meant to be, I'm going to be destroyed. But until then, I'm not willing to lie down and die. You know. So that's the home care. Specialized services. You could be a detox specialist. I just completed a course on detox. It was not that costly. Maybe I can't remember. I think it was 300, 600. Maybe not. Maybe costly. I don't know. But it was a 7 weeks course at Institute of Holistic Nutrition. Of course, online course. Unfortunately, they used to teach it in school, but now it's online. I think it's like 20 or 21 hour of the workshop. And I've got all the protocols because I'm always interested in detox. I've been always interested in detox. Before studying quantum field, I realized that by changing our lifestyle, but for example, detoxification, we could get to this state of clear mind where you can speak to your subconscious. So I've been a friend with detoxification programs for some time, but I just completed this course. And once I get the certification, I can be a detox specialist, for example, right? And right now, again, in this medical paradigm we have right now, when everything's crumbling and you can have you have to have a proof of vaccination to even go and have a test in the hospital. Soon, some of us will not be able to even, ask for help of the conventional medicine because we will not be entitled to. That's fine. It doesn't help us anyway. The conventional medicine doesn't treat anything. So you could provide within your scope of practice some healthcare services from your own home. You could have clients on Zoom, get on social media, start promoting yourself. That's how the business work, right? Unfortunately, nobody comes and nobody puts you anywhere. When you have your own business, you have to take yourself and put it there. Health coach, wound care, diabetic care, energy work, healthcare business consultant. I guess that's what I do right now, kind of, right? I don't know if I can't remember. I put it a couple of weeks back, healthcare business consultant. Yes, I guess that's what I meant. Okay, and the third one, haven't done on time, we are good. The third one is retail. So the retail, there are people who really like sales. So sales, and there are other people who hate sales, and they feel like, oh, I can't, like, I don't feel comfortable selling myself. I don't feel comfortable selling anything. It just happened that I like sales. I don't even know why. I think I learned to like sales because when I, back in the very beginning of the workshop, I said when I had children, I realized that I don't even see them. Only when they're asleep, I'm like, finally. But then what's the point to have children? I got on few multi-level marketing things, and vitamins, line of vitamins, line of something else, and the products are great. Just kind of like as a side note, for anybody involved in direct selling, or if you are not involved, that's the information is valid for you too. If you're not involved in direct selling and you kind of like push back, direct selling, it's something that is sold through the distributors, right? Like, for example, I don't know, essential oils. I have a slide there to show what I have. Not to recruit any of you. I right now don't even sell that. I use it for myself because the products are amazing. And then I've heard it not long ago from a different person that all the products sold through the direct sales, they're great in quality. It's annoying when the people want to sign you up for the program. Yes, but I don't sign anybody up. I'm using it for myself. So, but if you like sales, that will be a great kind of like avenue for you to start developing yourself as a business owner. And majority of those companies, what are those? Do you remember those Herbalife, right? Like, what else? Amway. You know what I'm talking about. Majority of them, they have a great support for their distributors, and you don't need to sell it to others. You can just get, like, if you need some products, you can get there and get the support from that company, because they're all huge, right? Like, they're quite wealthy, so they have a great support to their distributors. They have free trainings, they have tools, so it's a great place to start if you never ever tried to sell anything and you don't know how to do it. Because guess what, you guys, if you have your own business, you have to sell it. That's there, maybe if you didn't realize that will be the discovery. But when you have your own business, you have to know how to sell. Nobody will buy anything from you if you don't sell it to them. Even if you're the best, the most valuable, if you sell the most valuable service, you're the best nurse in the world, you need to know how to sell yourself. You cannot avoid selling sales if you are in business. So that's kind of like an axioma you need to accept. But something really cool, if you decide to do the retail, maybe you can just hire somebody who is great with sales and you can just sit there and do the paperwork, right? But medical supply, equipment, uniform, you find somebody like a company who sells it, and you find, so be like or you can even become a distributor, maybe. That's just the idea. Like, I don't know, I've never been involved, I don't know. Medical marijuana dispensary, why not, right? I personally was never interested in a business where I have to rent something, have a shop, like a like a physical location, because then I thought, like, oh my god, it's so much expenses. Like, the rent is insane. Then you need to be there 9 to 5. when I started my business, my biggest focus was on flexibility. I just couldn't stand this 9 to 5 thing. I hated it. So for me, the flexibility was the biggest one. And when I thought, if I have a job, for example, if I have a shop, like, I don't know, whatever, some kind of medical something, I have to be there. So that didn't fit my needs, but it doesn't mean that it will not fit your needs, fill your needs, right? If you're okay with that, that could be one of the places you may look at. Vitamin supplements, health products, that's an easy one, and you can have many, right? And you still use it for yourself, and you don't make much money unless you focus there full time. I was never focused full time. That those the companies that provide direct sale. Health app, marketing website, that's a cool one. I don't know how to do that, but if somebody can develop a health app for you, that's an avenue to create unlimited income. I don't know how to, unfortunately. Medical transcription services, that's a really old school thing, but I think they still do it. Transcription services, but like, I know, even I had this client, she was Russian speaking, and we used their entrepreneur, I mean, what is it called, not entrepreneur, the translator. So but she was a medical translator, so she was only translating from different languages in like patients in the hospital and stuff. Self-employed too. Okay, any questions? No questions. That's how I started. So I had these vitamins, and I'm still using it, and I'm buying it for my family, and I don't even have any clients at this point, but at one point I had few clients because I was putting energy there. Like, I don't put my energy there right now because that didn't bring me much income, and I didn't want to focus on that. But that's, as I said, it's a great place for you to start when thinking about business. I do have a water technology, which is a great business itself. That business is like, every time you make a sale, like right now I get like $1,000 or something. It's a water ionizer, and I should probably start doing this business more or less again, because I truly believe in that. Again, every business, if you have anything, you need to pay attention and you put your focus there, otherwise it just doesn't develop, doesn't work, right? But there are different, like, it's like medical equipment. So it's a water ionizer that makes ionized water. And when you the good thing with all of them, and that's an essential oil, the good thing with all of these, like, distributors, when you become a distributor, you get your business number right away. And then when you do the taxes, you need to you can collect all, not all, but expenses. For example, when you buy vitamins, maybe not 100% of them, you need to talk to a bookkeeper, but you write it off as a business expense, as a demo unit. The water technology, the water ionizer, is $5,000. But when I purchase it, I put it as a business expense because I purchased it and I got a business number right away. And I purchased it and I claimed it to be a a demo unit. But I drink water myself. So it goes in a business expense and it lowers your income. So that's like, you absolutely should have a business license, just even for that purpose. First of all, to start developing this business mind, and second, to write off the expenses, because taxes are expensive, right? So we may still play this game, taxation game, but we need to utilize it in our benefits as well. Every time you use anything for business, like, for example, I bought a computer, and it's an expensive computer. What is it, like, I don't know, a few $1,000s, right? So I put it as a business expense. Of course, every single thing I use for business is a business expense. So just even for that, you should get a business license. Okay, that's how I started, but that was in 2014. So now it's a different game. You provide all of these services while operating in a self-employed nurse. You can provide all of these services while operating as a self-employed nurse. Would some of these be out of nursing scope of practice? Well, no, you shouldn't provide any services out of scope of practice. So, for example, are you talking about? Sorry, I didn't see when it came. The comment. So, if I provide, for example, in the nursing standard, we have teaching, right? Teaching about lifestyle. So when I teach about lifestyle and I speak about vitamins and I teach about lifestyle, I don't prescribe it. I just teach. So it's a teaching about lifestyle. If I provide a direct nursing service, I would never, for example, put an IV without a doctor's order, because that's the restricted activity. I have to have a doctor's order, right? So anything you do, you need to make sure that if it's a restricted activity, you need to have an order. If it's non-restricted activity, you can do it as a non-restricted activity. So until when you're still when you're still a licensed healthcare professional as a nurse, for example, registered nurse, you have to make sure that you operate within your scope of practice. So you don't step outside of your practice. Did it answer the question? Did I answer the question? Let me know if I didn't. Okay, the very last two slides, they're boring, but they are important for you guys. And that's something you could get. I don't know if any, like, I think some of you maybe not from BC. I got some of this information from Small Businesses BC. There is a checklist. It's more, that checklist has more information than this, but I kind of summarized it all in 2 slides, like in 10 points or whatever. So when you decided, okay, I'm going to have a business, now I need, like, what do I do? The very first thing is to choose a name. I will never think that, but yes, you need to choose a name. So there is a federal guide. If you register this business in a registry, so remember I said you don't even need to have a license if you are self-employed, because if you make, like, I don't know, $2,000 a year, you can claim it as an additional income. I don't know where the cap is. If it's like 2,000 or like $5,000, you need to have a business license. It's better, but CRA forgives if it's a small amount. Sorry, what is that? Oh gosh, I don't know how to stop it. The phone started ringing. So you need to choose a name if you are registering it with a business registry. I advised you to do so if you decided for sure that, yes, I'm going to have a business and I'm going to start developing it and kind of like grow it. Growing it. You sorry guys, my phone started ringing, distracted me. If you just starting as a self-employed nurse, like you just have, I don't know, a few clients, you may just get a business license in your city with and it's like $100 for a year, and you could start there. You don't need to have and it will be like you will be a sole proprietor and it will be on your name. Choose and register your business name. It's when you open a company. You can open a company even like even if you are, like, for example, I'm Victoria Litarna, right? Like I have a business license on Victoria Litarna, and I didn't have it registered the first few years. I just got a business license from the city. The city, well, it's not a money making avenue for them, but also they claim that anybody living in the city or like wherever you live. No, my God. My family is keep on calling me. Can you imagine? So anybody who lives in the city, they have to have a business license because the city claims that they assess how many people have businesses, and that affects the taxation of the population. But I had a business license just for Victoria Litarna. I like no names, just my name, right? And then when I did my taxes, I submitted T4 forms plus I don't know, $5,000 extra as a sole proprietor. But then I decided, okay, I want to have a company because I want to start branding it. And I went to the federal guide. There is a website. If you want, I can send this later for you, or you can just even put it as a register your business name. It will give you a federal link. You need to register your business name, and then your business will be unique in the entire Canada. And if the reason why you need to register, so to make sure that it's only your name and nobody else has the same name. So if you put, like, it will kind of like search. It's a process. Like, you need to book this name and then pay some money, of course, and then they kind of like book this name only for you, and then they put you in the like business kind of like catalog. Then you decide on a business type, or you can do it actually all together. Your business type can be a sole proprietor when you are self-employed. You can have employees or contractors and be a sole proprietor, or you can incorporate. And you can be by yourself and be a corporation, or you can have workers working for you. So it's kind of like it's on a different levels of what you need to do, right? Like, you need to be you can be sole proprietor, but be and have a company working with people working for you, or you can incorporate and have a company where people work for you, or you can incorporate and be the only one, Victoria Literary Corporation. Completely fine. So incorporation versus sole proprietor is done a few different business types: sole proprietor, partnership, corporation, society, and cooperation. Study a little bit more. The most common ones is sole proprietor or partnership. Corporation is it's similar, or corporation, I explained. A partnership is when you have a partner whom you open a business with, but the taxation is a little bit different than corporation. Again, I don't know the exact difference, but partnership is rarely used. I consulted a lawyer when I was choosing, but I knew that I wanted to be a corporation. But I consulted what to choose, and then when you choose that you want to be a corporation, there are different avenues. Again, they want to limited liability, you want to be incorporated, like, when you have a name, and then Inc. or Ltd. or whatever, right? Ltd, right? So sole proprietor is the easiest one, but the taxes, when you pay taxes at the end of the year, the taxes are a little bit higher. The reason why I incorporated, because first of all, it gives you a better tax brackets, but also that my company right now, it's a different entity than me. For example, something provided the service, my company provided the service to somebody, and if I was not incorporated, if I was a sole proprietor and my company provided services to the clients and they didn't like it and they wanted to sue me, or I don't want it to be happy. Like, now when I work on a quantum field, anything I say comes true like that. So for example, right, on like, and they could come after the company, but because I was a sole proprietor, the company is the same as me. So whatever they didn't like about the company, it's like they talked to me, like they could take from me as they were taken from the company. When you are sole proprietor, when you are a sole proprietor, yes. And when you're incorporated, the company is not you anymore. The company is a separate entity. So when your company provides service, and yes, I as Victoria may not be liked by my clients, but they cannot say, okay, Victoria, we're going to sue you. They can sue the company. I don't want it to happen. I couldn't come up with a better example, because normally nobody like if the only problem, like the only why all of this is done is for you to avoid any complications in the future, right? That's why I brought the scenario with the complication. So you need to decide on a business type. Sole proprietor is easier. The taxes are a little bit higher, but it doesn't cost any money to get a sole proprietor business going. It's really easy peasy. When you're a partner, I don't know if you plan to cooperate the business with one of our partners. I don't have a partner, so for me, it was not even a question. If you have a partner, maybe look into that if you're opening the business with someone else. Corporation, I just explained. Society, it's a non-for-profit. It's basically you present a business plan, you give it to the government subsidizes it, and then you need to give back all the numbers and everything to the government back to show that that's how you utilize their money. And cooperative, it's like when few people co-ops, when people live in the co-ops, it's run by the members. Again, for me, it was not even an option. Like I didn't even look into that. Cooperative is actually a cool idea if you open in some kind of with a big group of people, like with a large group of people, especially nowadays, right? When we need to browse through many, many different things, maybe that will be a great option for us to look into. Okay. A lawyer told me that the corporation still does not protect you from liability, from personal liability. CNPS. Who is CNPS in healthcare? Well, depends if you are a director, which I am. I have, from a personal Canadian Nurses Protective Society, they're useless. They are completely useless, and I don't know if they do know, because sorry, I'm not really nice to the colleges anymore. They do not protect. So when you renew your license with the college, you have to pay like $130 something or $113 a year for the Canadian Nursing Protective Society to protect you. But if you're self-employed, or you're a business owner, they don't do anything. They cannot protect because of the liability, blah, blah, blah. So it has to be a business license and a business insurance. So that's what they're saying. Like you have to have in a business insurance a clear language what role the company falls under you. Like nobody can. When you are incorporated, you don't sign the contract with the client as a person. They sign a contract with a company, so they cannot sue you as a person who wrote that chain, right? So Victoria, they signed a contract with me as a company representative. They cannot come after me. So I would clarify that with with somebody different than Canadian Nursing Protective Society, because I was in contact with them twice, and both times they not only were they not nice, but they didn't help me, and they whatever $130 something you pay, there is not option not to pay, but I never gotten any advice from them which I could use or help. So honestly, I wouldn't rely on them too much. Right. So what else do you need to do? Once you decided on the name, you decided on the type. Oh my goodness, now this is the last slide, and then we'll do some tests. So general recommendation, check provincial regulations, right? Because in different provinces, different. You need to open the and how you can check. So the name thing is the and the type is the federal, but then you can check. As I said, you can put in Google, opening a small business in BC, or we have a website, small business BC or something like that. They have a checklist you could go through. Information in this on this slide and the previous slide, I used that checklist as well, but there are more. There are more things. You may I didn't find them helpful, but you may find them helpful. Bank accounts. You need to open a bank account, not only because you want to separate the money going back and forth, so that when you do taxes, you don't go crazy, because that's what happens if you don't have a bank account, separate bank account for the business. Then you have to go through all of your bank account and highlight what you use for business, what not. Now, when I have the official incorporated company, I have a different credit card, I have a different business account, so it's easy for me. Everything is done automatically, what money goes from there, here, blah, blah, blah. But the first few years when I was a sole proprietor, it was a little bit challenging, because I used the same visa for everything, and then I was not disciplined enough to do it at the end of each month. So at the end of the year, when I did taxes, it was a total nightmare to go through that and tax receipts and all of that. Oh, so my advice will be for you to open a bank account, separate bank account for your business if you have a business license from the beginning. And not only for you to do the bookkeeping easier, but also for the purpose of the loan and some kind of grants. It will be way easier for you to apply for a loan for business if you have a business account and like long standing, right? So if you open the business account right now and you ask for the loan later, like they look at the money, they, in and out, they look at some kind of like movement in the account. Business account with CRA, GST, payroll, all of that. Well, payroll, it's only when you have people you pay salary for, right? When you pay contractors, they're not on payroll. They give you the invoice, and they invoice you, and you transfer money for them or write the check or whatever. And GST is deducted, maybe different provinces different, I don't know, I can speak up, but on different provinces. In BC, is when your income increases $30,000, you need to charge GST of your clients. So in the beginning of the year, you kind of like try keep an eye on that and see when it comes closer to 30,000, you need to start charging GST. You can after reimburse them if it was before 30,000. All of that, I would advise you to have a bookkeeper and the accountant. Because my business was really small and it's still small, but I thought, why do I need to pay money to the accountant or like a payroll specialist? There are applications I can do the payroll myself. I only have, I don't know, 3-4 workers, 2-3-4 workers. I can do it myself. And what a nightmare. Don't do it yourself unless you are really good with numbers, which I'm not. I'm more creative, but numbers and all of the like, because the thing with CRA, even if like 2 cents are missing, it's a nightmare to find, and then money here, money there. So I kind of learned. I had a learning curve. I did it myself, and then it took me some time and more money to clear the stuff which I did it myself. So if you have people you pay taxes for, find a payroll specialist who will do it for you. They charge per person. So that's why I don't have part-time caregivers. Sometimes I do, but I do full-time caregivers because each person, when you have people working for you, each person costs you money. You pay taxes, number one, and second, you pay insurances, WorkSafe insurance. You pay payroll specialists. They charge depending how many people they do the payroll for. They charge per person, right? So, but I would rather pay because if you make money, of course you're gonna have business expenses. Then do it myself, because the idea to have a business, it's not to work 24/7, right? But to kind of relax a little bit at the end. Municipal business license, I covered why you need a municipal business license, because they calculate how much taxes they're going to tax the city people for after. Insurances, I just covered. EI, extended health benefits and everything. This is all optional. I do not have extended health. EI is not optional. EI and CPP is not optional. That's something which an employer pays every paycheck. And the extended health benefits are optional. When you are self-employed, you pay those taxes as well at the end of the year. And right, when you're self-employed, when you're self-employed, you collect the income, and then when you do your taxes, it shows you how much money you need to pay. So great tip: open another bank account, call it some, I don't know, taxes, and put money there little by little, because like my business pays a lot of money, like tax money. So my business has not huge, but quite a large income coming in. But net, I probably have the same amount of money which I have when I was an employee. Actually, that's a great point I wanted to bring, because my driving driving force for having a business was not the financial expansion, which I should probably put because it's a cool goal. Why not financially expand? But I just didn't want to be at work when I didn't want to be there. So I put this intention to the universe, and I said, oh my God, like if only I could make the same amount of money but working for myself. And eventually that's happened. Probably it's a little bit higher right now than it was, but I'm making at the end, like if you look at the net, probably the same amount of money. But I like it way better because it's creative. I help people. I help people find a job. I help people to receive the services. I feel way more fulfillment versus when I had when I was an employee. Okay. Okay, so invest in contracts. Okay, this is really important. So invest in contracts. I was asked this question. She asked me this question in the email. The contracts with your clients and the contracts with your employees are absolutely essential, and that's where you need to invest money. And they're expensive. I think they're like $600 to from like few hundreds to $1,000 each contract, but it's absolutely worth it because that will be your base, what you like, where you put all your thoughts, and then you don't need to think anything after, like, oh, should I be doing that or should I be not? You can put as much in your contract as you want. I sign them in both contracts with your clients you deliver service for, and with your employees if you have employees working for them. And even with contractors is a little bit easier. I did it myself, but based on both those two. But it's still easier. It's still easier to have a good contract versus to kind of like not sure what to do every time. So I use Adobe to sign. You can do DocuSign. You could sign it electronically, right? And then I keep it all, and then I make sure that the workers are really well aware, and it describes everything there, like the rate and their. So the reason why you need to invest in them, because there's so much. Like the employment standard itself is really complicated, and I would not advise to look at that unless you have some legal background. Maybe you could, right? So payroll account and the bookkeeping as well. Invest. I didn't invest because I was like a little bit not greedy, but I was like, well, I only have like 2 workers. Why do I need to have a bookkeeper? And it was too much. And then you market, you launch, and you recruit, and that's it. And you're ready for the business. Market, launch, and recruit. Well, market. It's you look at the market. For example, you decided to open the. You decided to open the. You decided to open whatever agency. You look at your area, how many agencies are there, how much they charge, how many people work, what area they serve. You could make a phone call, like a cold call. That's how marketing research is done, right? So call your competitors and ask, like, try to find out how they operate, and then do the replica, but not a complete replica. But for you to open a company, you need to understand what you want, what other people do who do the same, and then you create your own. It's not going to be the same, but you need to have this information. Recruitment, that's a big thing. I don't have an HR background, but I was involved in interviewing workers for many years. So that's a hard one. The biggest challenge for me in my business is like if the client disappears or to find the worker. And the client disappears, yes, I'm losing the income. But if I have a worker whom I'm not completely happy, that just thing that doesn't let me sleep well. So I still, even though I'm really good with recruitment, here and there I have workers who I'm like, oh. So again, invest your time. If you don't know how to recruit, like how to interview, educate yourself on that, right? Okay, we are done with the boring part. We still have 30 minutes. We have some fun part, like a little bit esoteric part, but I would like to maybe open the floor right now if you have any questions with the boring, I call it the boring part because it's not boring, it's more kind of like more informational, right? Now I have a little bit fun part. How do we ensure our services provided contracts because to our college standard and scope of practice? Should we review the contract with the college? The contract with the college, I don't remember having a contract with the college. You go to the practice standard. So if you are a registered nurse, you have a scope of practice for a registered nurse, which states what you can do with no order, what you cannot do with no order. They're called restricted practice, non-restricted practice, and practice with the order. I can't remember the exact wording. So basically, it has some it even has some kind of activities. For example, I don't know, laser application, it has to be restricted, or like it doesn't have to be restricted, or medication administration, it's a restricted order, you need to have a doctor's order, and you need to deliver, like it has to be specifically client specific, or it's a general order, you have a doctor's order but not client specific. So all of that is on the college website in the practice standard. And then when you know that's the standard you need to kind of like base your services on, but you need to know what kind of services you want to deliver. If you have I don't have a contract with the college. I don't know, do you have a contract with the college? I can't remember signing any contract with the college. Or maybe when we renew the license, we guarantee that yes, we are obliging with the rules and regulations stated. He means, should the college renew the contract? Oh, absolutely not. Not because you're gonna put something illegal there, but okay, it's a I don't know how to say it really carefully. I shouldn't have said absolutely not. You could try. I would not. I would not. I would never, ever ask a college. I mean, show to the college that I don't know if I should or I shouldn't. Oh, okay. I wish the college was there. Okay, I'm going to be blunt. I wish the college was really looking after people's interests and nurses' interests. I do not believe so. Therefore, thank you for the guidelines. That's what I'm talking to the college, right? Thank you, college, for the guidelines. But the college is not there to help you. You need to understand that. Okay? So you talk to the lawyer. That will be when the lawyer creates this contract. You sign the contract with the lawyer, and you tell the lawyer what you will be doing. And then when the lawyer puts it on the paper, you compare what he puts on the paper with, is it like you do the cross-reference? Is it compatible with the with the college's language? So I would never ask a college what I shouldn't be doing, because the college's job is to put the regulations. The college cannot even tell you you can or you cannot. You can ask a question if you have a specific question, yes, but don't show the entire contract. Like, I mean, that's your private information as the company. Like, I don't know. Sorry, I don't have a, I'm not really praising the college too much, but I had an interaction with the college last year that cost me $7,000, and I understood that the college is not there to look at my for my interests or the interests of the public, to that matter. So, no, I wouldn't ask the college what to do. If you have a specific question, you can bring it there. Just on a remark note about the college, do you guys put number 1 in the chat if you think that people who work in the college are nurses, and put number 2 if you don't know or you don't think so. Yeah, they are not nurses. People working in the nursing college, they aren't nurses. I didn't know that naively. I thought they were nurses and they knew what was going on and they knew the language we speak to them. but they do not. So that's a different topic. Like, I was shocked when I learned that, because how can somebody who is not a nurse telling the nurse what to do? They don't look at that from the same perspective. So it's a strictly bureaucratic thing. So if you read the contract, if you read the standards, you will have better understanding than them, because they're not even nurses. All right, so we have 20 minutes. Would you like to do some tests to see? Good to know. Would you like to see if do you think you are blocking yourself somehow or not? Or if you have more questions, go ahead now. I can even maybe unmute you guys. I don't know how to unmute you. No, just write it in the chat. I don't know how to unmute you. I missed the question. Okay. My question remains a bit unclear. I'm a registered nurse and would like to be self-employed as an RN in order to do IV therapy naturopathic. However, I have other alternative offerings outside of nursing scope of practice. I'm in the process of creating a holistic business. Do I create two separate business in order for me to practice? Good question, because I'm in the same boat. So the IV is a completely nursing. The question is like, should you create two separate businesses when you deliver not nursing service and nursing service? And my personal feedback will be, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, no, because if you provide the service, unless you create two different companies, but the colleges, and that's the interaction I had with the college last year, the college claims that if you are a nurse and you claim yourself to be a nurse, anything you do, anything you say out there, it's a nursing saying. So for example, well, I'll be clear with you, like open with you. So last year, I got a complaint. Somebody complained about me to the college because I was speaking about an effectiveness of masks against COVID virus and blah 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 and all of that COVID story. So the college started investigating me, and even though those remarks were made on my personal social media page, where it was not clear that I was a nurse, but the fact that I talked about that openly and my name could be searched, and it could be found that I was a nurse. In the college's perspective, anything you say out there as a nurse, even if you don't talk about it as a nurse, you as a public, like as a person representing or as a person there protecting the public, you have this responsibility to be always mindful that you're actually a nurse. Did it answer that question? So I don't know what exactly you are referring to as some holistic modalities. Like right now, I do a quantum medicine practices, right? So does the college have any language about that? No, but it's like a game until you get caught, which I don't care if I get caught because I'm not doing anything wrong. But if the college wants to go after you for whatever you do, they can find a reason. But it depends how you word it. Because you remember, as a registered nurse, you can educate the clients as long as you're not prescribing, as long as you're not invasive, and as long as as the client has consented to the certain whatever, right? So the college, for example, doesn't have anything about the detox, but the nurse, who else, not a nurse, right? If it's not a nurse, who else can teach you about the healthy lifestyle? For God's sakes, of course nurses can do, and of course nurses should do, but the college does not have any language about that. The college has a language of teaching lifestyle. So then you need to make sure that you're just teaching it in a way. Again, in the latest developments, if you're teaching something against the public narrative, that could be a question. But if you're teaching about, not in relation to the latest development, it should be fine. Can you tell me if I answered your question? Providing nutrition, vitamin, and supplement recommendations. Should we teach instead of recommend? Yeah, I would teach. Yeah. You see, if you recommend, again, check the language, right? Check the language of the practice standard. Open the practice standard. There's some language about vitamin therapy there. I can't remember if we can recommend to teach. Check the practice standard, please. Okay. So now I'm going to read few scenarios, and you can, no, before that, let's do breathe in and out 3 times. And imagine that right now we'll do the practice, not just the test, we'll do the practice. So close your eyes, breathe in, breathe out. I'll try to turn on the music. Breathe in, breathe out, and imagine that right now you have the business, or you are opening the business you would like, or you're just about to launch it, or so you are out there. What feelings do you have? Do you have, are you excited? Are you scared? We'll go through a few scenarios, and you see if one of them resembles, if you feel that, well, actually that's what the thought pattern runs in my head. So, and why we do that is to show that there are some blockages which you can resolve easily by unblocking your subconscious. And if we have time, I'll explain how it works. So the first one, I don't know where to find clients. So if you're about to launch your business, so you just launched, but you don't have any clients and you don't know where to find them, the program that runs in you could be that I'm scared, and it's related to your mom and dad. Not related, but you know that everything comes from our childhood, right? So the program inside of you, somehow you're still you still have this belief on a subconscious level that your mom or your dad, and it could be one of them or it could be both, and it's hard for me to give a general suggestion. That's something we could find in a diagnostic session, that you wait for them. So you basically, your subconscious is stuck in that in the childhood phase somehow, that you believe that your parent would solve it. Your parent should solve it or would solve it, but you cannot, but your parent would. Okay. So that's number one. Breathe in and out, just inhale, exhale. Completely try not to think, just close your eyes and try to find that feeling you have. Another program could be, there are many, but we'll just cover a few. Another one could be, I cannot put high enough price on my services. So if you're struggling with praising yourself, or with defining, if you don't feel comfortable putting a high price on your service, the program, you need to work with self-esteem, of course, it's clear, right? But so our self-worth and self-value is developed in our childhood. And the tip for you to know that for the girls, self-value and self-worth is defined by their relationship with the father. And for the boys, is the mother who develops the sense of self-worth in boys. So if you're struggling with self-worth and you are a male, you're male, then you need to dig in the relationship with your mom. If you're a woman and you're struggling with self-worth, dig in a relationship with your father. And what it means, dig in the relationship, maybe you didn't even have any relationship. That's the area to go to. Because we are, as any person in the world, even if they're made in vitro, we are half mother and half father. Luckily, it's not known yet. Maybe At least I don't know. No other way to make a human. Well, at least we were not made any other way, right? So we are half mother and half father. And if you say that I don't know my father, for example, if I never knew my father was never there, like I don't even know him, it means that you don't know half of yourself, right? Because we are half mother and half father. And until we solve the relationship with our parents, and doesn't mean solve that now we can just like hug and kiss, but internally, self-internally, until we hold this resentment or hurt, we're gonna still be resenting part of ourselves. We're not gonna accept parts of ourselves because we are half of us is mother and the other half is father. Okay, another program could be my clients have no money. So you guys need to work with money then. Money, then you probably have some subconscious beliefs that money is not everything in life. I don't need money. If people who are rich, they're all bad, or poor people, only poor people are spiritual, it's a misconception. It doesn't mean that you are spiritually developed and you have a high vibration, you're a high vibrational being. You need to be broke and you need to be, depleted in on a physical level. No, it's not. There is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with money. It depends what you use the money for, right? So those beliefs could be formed again. For some people, money is not even safe because maybe somewhere in the past, the family got, bankrupted, and the belief was formed that money isn't safe. But until you unblock that thing, in your physical life, you will always be running the situation when you could be either draining money or money wouldn't come, or there are many. It's just for you to think that assess your life and see what area of your life is deep in. You remember those 4 quadrants, right? Where is the depletion of the energy? And start looking to unblocking that so the energy flows between 4 quadrants. One more, not trusting. So it's, oh, well, they're going to betray me. I always get betrayed. I always get cheated on. You see the guy is holding the knife. So you don't trust people. Most likely what happened could be different causes, but most likely you need to unfold the trust with your mother. Here is the mother, because our mother is, well, maybe the father too, but most likely with the mother, and most likely your parents got divorced. There is a high chance. When we don't trust our mothers, we don't trust ourselves. When we don't trust the fathers, we don't trust the outside world. Because our mother, the relationship with our mothers is the relationship with remember, half of us is a mother, the other one is father. So when we don't trust our mother on the outside world, we don't trust this part. I'm showing to the left because the left side of the body is the mother side, the right side is the father side. When we don't trust our mother, we don't trust ourselves. We don't trust in ourselves. When we don't trust our father, the father is the relationship with the outside world. It has to be looked in the diagnostic session, as I said, but I wanted to share that because I wanted you to know that if you have certain situations, repeating situations, and you cannot solve them, there is a tool. You can use that tool and unblock it. And you don't need to be in a rabbit hole or rat race all the time. Okay. So the last few slides, we're almost done. I don't want to keep you on Sunday afternoon. But the reason why, like, we are half father, half mother, like, so what? Maybe it wasn't like I have great relationship with my parents, but my parents didn't have a great relationship with their parents, for example, but it's nothing to do with me. Well, as you know, the color of the eyes, for example, is passed through the generations, right? In the genes, the same as the information and the relationship code is passed as well. So there is a different areas of science looked into that. There was a mirror neurons, the observation learning, right? So if you behave a certain way, but you tell the child to behave this way, the child will behave the way you behaved. So it's the mirror neurons, something we observed, something has been observed from generation to generation, passed to our children and so on. And also epigenetics. So the genes can change depending on their environment they're placed in. That's some medical terms for you. It will be easy for you to understand. So the bottom line, we don't have time to dig deep into that. I just wanted to open the door for you to start thinking that if you want to start your own business, but something is blocking you, maybe you will see that this is an internal reason, because the internal blocks are not shown through the internal. They are all, whatever is internally, it's presented to us in the outside world. So you assess your outside world, you see what's going on, and then if you see that you have some roadblocks in the outside world, you can dig inside and unblock that, so the outside world will change. The outside world will always reflect what's inside of us. That just please just believe me on that. If you don't know that yet, I'm sure you all know that. And Russian doll phenomenon. So there's a you see the Russian doll. You guys know the Russian doll, right? So there is a little doll there, and it looks exactly like all other dolls. And when you open, you go deeper and deeper and deeper. It's the same. They look all the same. So there is a lot of research. I'm not gonna bore you with that, and we don't have time. But that's the entire thing with like the mirror neurons, the epigenetics, and the Russian doll shows how the future generation resembled the same pattern that the previous generation resembled. We don't have time. If you want, I can send you the link on that cartoon. It's about the rats. They was the rats represented some smell, and the future generation, even though they were not presented the same smell, they reacted the same as the ancestors rats. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for the test, unfortunately. Oh, that's too bad. Okay, we don't have time for that. I don't want you to be later on your day. The bottom line of all of that: go inside, understand what you really want, use the logistics to expand whatever you want, and everything's going to be fine. If you have any roadblocks, find them. And I'm offering you a free quantum diagnostic. If you're interested, please write over here my email address. There is no phone number. I can't even put my phone number. It's only 4 of us. That's completely fine. Let me know if you are interested. Let me know if you are interested in the quantum session. And if you are interested in a quantum session, and please send me a message or call me, and I will book you for the session. We'll do it through Zoom. It's really easy. Just we need to find the time when you're available and you're not available. And I'm available. We are done for today. We skip those. I think this quantum field talk, it has to be a separate workshop. Maybe I'll be a little bit more information there, because if we just touch the surface, it may not be completely clear, and then you will be like, you will not get the point and dissatisfied. It was awesome. Thank you so much. So